All right. So I'm now going to do my review, thank you, for Halo, the Master Chief Collection series. Halo 1, H1, Combat Evolved, CE. Halo 2, H2, and Halo 3, H3, Finish the Fight. All right. So I just did a video for COD, Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare Collection, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So I'm now going to do a review for Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3. H1, H2, H3. Overall, I gave Call of Duty an 8 to an 8.5 for the Modern Warfare Collection series, 3 games, whatever you want to call it. And then I gave the campaign overall a 7.5. I gave the multiplayer overall an 8.5, between an 8 and a 9. You could rate that higher or lower than me, depending on how good you are at the game. And then the co-op I gave like a really high rating, 9.5. And so it averaged out to between an 8 and an 8.5. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, has a very high rating on IGN. So going back to Halo CE, when IGN, which is, in my opinion, and in the general public, how do I describe this? Based off reviews, IGN is the most reliable for video games, especially on Xbox and even on PlayStation. So when Halo CE came out, even without Xbox Live hooked up to its multiplayer ensemble, they gave it an overall rating in 2001 of a 9.7. So that's a near perfect rating, the best rating any game can receive with a limited Xbox Live multiplayer ensemble. So the campaign was the strongest aspect of Halo 1 and Combat Evolved, and it featured 10 chapters. You probably remember some of them. Chapter 8 or 7 was the library in Halo CE. I'm going to pause for a minute here. I also want to point out it's also the hardest level to beat in the game. Near to damn near impossible on any difficulty setting above heroic. That includes legendary and the ultra rare mythic. Great, I'm back. All right. So there's a couple missions in Halo CE that are really crisp, important, and fun to play. They're enjoyable. And that is Halo CE Assault on the Control Room, which is a beachhead environment where you meet the offshore marine combat groups for the first time in Halo Combat Evolved, as you yourself are a machine Spartan super soldier, reminiscent of the Marines, but more advanced, possibly ahead of them in the timeline, and have come back to save them in some way. We're not sure. It's unclear. Somehow, some way, sometime. And then there's another really good map. So I mentioned Assault on the Control Room. The next Halo 1 campaign mission I'm going to pick out, I'll get to in a moment. And that is gonna be I'm not sure to do this, but I'll just do it anyways. Pillar of Autumn, which is the original opening H1CE campaign level mission map storyline content, which is where you wake up as Master Chief, you look up, down, left, right, and then all of a sudden you're in the suit and you're shooting at enemy zombie aliens who are made of AI, composed of AI within them. All right. So if you start with Pillar of Autumn and then you continue to Assault on the Control Room, or if you think about Assault on the Control Room and then you reminisce on Pillar of Autumn and then you go to the library, you can get a really good idea. And there's also the Warthog run at the end of the game. So at the end of the campaign, there's an elongated mission about a Warthog run that's very important. It's how you complete the campaign. So if you want to beat the campaign, you'll finish with a nice Warthog run. The library's the best and most difficult level to beat in HCE. There's a map. Part of the completion of Assault on the Control Room is Master Chief walks up to the edge of a Forerunner structure deep within the ring itself, known as Halo Installation 001, and he kicks a rock, which later in Halo 3 awakens the Gravemind, who after the first iteration, the second iteration of Halo, and the third iteration of Halo becomes very crucial, because in the second iteration of Halo, they introduce the Arbiter, who is an elite who explains foreshadowing between the two sides of the Halo War, or Halo Wars, which is the Covenant and the human entity. And the third party in this galactic battle is the Flood, which keeps an upper bound and on the two sides of the battle war, which is the Covenant versus the humans and the Marines, the Covenant and the elites versus the human military and the Marines, known as the ODST. And then you have the Flood, which is a bunch of zombies who are trying to kill both. So it's very interesting. In Halo 3, it's revealed they're led by the Gravemind, who has a didactic scene between the Arbiter, Master Chief, and the two sides of the war. And he basically goes into a scenario where he tells them each, it's very important what we do here. Both of these sides could win or lose. So that was interesting. Great. And then, so that's basically my Halo CE review. Overall, I'm going to give the campaign in HCE a 9. one of the best campaigns ever made. It could be a 10 because there's 10 missions. However, I'll give it a 9 because even though it's the best original Xbox console game ever made or ever played by a large group of people, it has some limitations. So I'll just leave it there. I'll give it a 9. The multiplayer experience didn't have Xbox Live, but it was still one of the strongest multiplayer experiences in any game, period. So if you were to retrofit the multiplayer experience in HCE, I would rate it between a 6 and a 7. So I would give it a very good rating between a 6 and a 7. And then the co-op in HCE was not developed yet, but the concept of it was very interesting. So we had interesting settings, adjustments in the multiplayer experience to basically compensate for a lack of co-op. So I'm not going to rate that. So between a 9 and a 6 or a 6 and a 9, I'll give Halo CE a solid overall rating. Okay, so it's a good game, really strong game. I enjoyed it immensely. And it set a great foundation for the entire series. So, monumental achievement in gaming, Halo 1 Combat Evolved. And then I'll move on to the next game in the series, which is Halo 2. H2. I think the tagline for that was Fight Together or something like that. It takes place in New Mombasa. The trailers also take place in a mix of human and Covenant-like environments. So there's Master Chief, there's Cortana, the AI female component of the Halo series. And in H1, Cortana is the main AI lead character, just like Master Chief is the main lead protagonist in the shooter ensemble. In Halo 2, Cortana gets featured even more prominently because she had such a positive overall reaction in Halo 1 that she becomes a star co-protagonist alongside Master Chief in Halo 2. So she's one of the stronger characters in the entire series. Her motivation is not always clear. So basically, if we go deeper into the Master Chief Cortana love-hate relationship, it becomes more... I'll just delve further into it. I'll just put it that way. So basically, in a romance novel, you need two protagonists. And then you can add an antagonist or two antagonists. But if you do that, it gets confusing. So in your standard romance novel, let me think here for a minute. You have a protagonist, usually a male lead, who is ultra sexy, ultra talented, and needs to make a commitment on his success and achievement, or his love life and his companion, or exactly where he wants to go. And then you usually have another protagonist, which is a female lead. And suddenly you see that between the male protagonist and the female antagonist and some fucking douchebag antagonist like we all know of, because you see them everywhere. Usually a dude or a female. There's a lot of that. So basically, what you have is you have to continuously match each other in reception, talent, and commitment. And the more dramatic you can make the protagonist story, the more dramatic you can make the female protagonist story. And the closer you can combine them, the more interesting the romance becomes between the two of them. And we see something similar in the Halo series. So basically, Master Chief is a lifeless human machine Spartan super soldier who's advanced at American military weapon, Covenant weapons, and even advancing the storyline. Cortana is an AI superhero, chip-centered, empowered female lead protagonist who plays a neutral stance between the inner workings of Covenant advanced technology, the things that they are discovering on this uncivilized but occupied foreign Halo ring establishment, and how it could affect positively or negatively the protagonists of the series, who are Master Chief, the ODST Marine companies that are on the ring, and also humanity at large, or in general. So, what you find is that there's an interplay, there's a romance interplay between Cortana and Master Chief. So, Master Chief is the lead protagonist of Fight. So, he's the fighter in the series. He has a lot of fight in him. He's a great super soldier. He knows how to use weapons. He knows how to use his weapon, and he uses it frequently in a very successful 100% accomplishment achieved manner. Cortana is like the politician female lead of the series. So she does all the negotiations, she does all the cryptology inside the computer, which is very advanced and complicated, and then she presents it back to Master Chief so she can formulate the storyline in the right direction, or in a direction that she prefers. So that's kind of the interplay between Master Chief and Cortana in Halo 2. I'll give it an 8.8 rating overall. So Halo 2, Master Chief and Cortana, I'll give an overall rating of 8.8. And it was a game that also, from a multiplayer standpoint, was phenomenal. It had its flaws on Xbox. Multiplayer live Xbox matchmaking experience. But it was one of the better games to ever be made or played. Campaign, multiplayer, Forge, theater, co-op. So a great game. Overall, an 8.8, between an 8.5 and a 9. And I gave Halo CE like a 7. So we have a rating of like an 8 for the first, between the first two. And then for the third Halo game, which is Halo 3, Finish the Fight. One of the major questions that got asked about Halo 3 was, what does Finish the Fight mean during the promotional campaign, marketing, advertisement campaign leading up to the release of the most popular sequel in the trilogy that everyone knew was going to be a hit. It got overhyped, and it kind of turned into its own experience. So it beat a lot of movies in terms of hype, advertising, promotional material. People were very excited for it, including myself. I was extremely excited for it. I remember going and purchasing the game on opening day night in second I got to college. So my first year of college in Virginia, I remember purchasing Halo 3 within like my first few months at college. And I could not have been more excited. I had an awesome experience with the game. It was a beautiful game, it has beautiful gameplay. It kind of managed to forward advance, wrap up, and conclude the series trilogy story progression very nicely. It was beautifully done. It was amazing. It was emotional. It had a lot of good content in it, powerful messages, and it really concluded the series in the best fashion possible. So that was awesome. So it was an awesome campaign in Halo 3. Finish the fight. Um, the multiplayer experience in Halo 3 was outstanding. And to date, I'm going to go into detail on this. I think the Halo 3 multiplayer experience was the best video game multiplayer matchmaking experience we've seen in gaming ever of all the games out there. Because there was a hype machine, the hype machine overhyped the game. It led to there being a high amount of player progression throughout the matchmaking at different skill levels. So we had a 1 to 50 skill level matchmaking rating system. And I remember distinctly achieving a 39 higher or lower rating in one of the competitive Halo 3 matchmaking playlists. So that was about where my rating was. So between 1 and 50, I had like a 39. And some of the weapon in Halo 3 was amazing. So the BR had really good hit detection, really good range for medium to long and medium to short battles. And then there was also really nice player mechanics. So the UI was succinct. The scoring was nice. The stat tracking on Bungie.net was phenomenal, which has been deprecated. My main takeaway also, it introduced Firefight, which was a fantastic co-op experience, or it might have been Reach and ODST that introduced that. Oh, it hit. Okay, so it was Forge and Theater. So we were working on co-op at the time. So Halo 3 overall, I'm gonna give it a really good rating. Near perfect rating, I'm gonna give it an 8.75. So it could be an 8.6 or an 8.7 or an 8.8 or an 8.9. I'm gonna prefer it at an 8 point. Similar to Halo 2, I'm gonna give it an 8.7 or an 8.8. So it's probably the best game we've seen in the Halo series. So up to that point. So there's Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. Each one got better. Each one stood out fantastically among other games, and each one was just incredibly playable as a standalone title. So overall, I'm going to give the trilogy an 8.8 or an 8.9 or an 8 point or an 8, between an 8 and a 9 overall. So it's the best series ever made for multiplayer matchmaking experience 4v4 shooter. So it stands alone as probably the best exclusive inside series on Xbox and PC. And it's also one of I'm gonna do that, yeah. It's also one of the strongest titles we've ever seen. So I'm now gonna go into. I just want to point this out. I'm gonna go into a 5 to 10 minute recap on Halo 1, Halo 2, and Halo 3 briefly and quickly. So Halo 1, we discussed the campaign, the multiplayer, and how it set up the series for success. And it was probably the strongest Halo campaign title series we've seen. Opening debut from publisher Bungie on a brand new original Xbox platform, releasing around 2000 something. And it really took a large risk. So gaming up to that point had been consumed and defined by marginal, enjoyable, playable games that were awesome, but not, and impressive, but they weren't groundbreaking. They weren't trying anything too new or expansive. And Halo CE broke that mold. So it introduced amazing gameplay mechanics into the console Xbox wars. And that was probably its greatest testament. So Halo CE, phenomenal game. I give it like a 7. Halo 2, the continuation of the Halo series. It was an incredible interplay between Master Chief Cortana, the Covenant, and the Flood. It introduced the BR, the battle rifle, which is the primary staple weapon of the Halo series. So its biggest success was its most important power weapon innovation, the battle rifle. Pretty incredible, especially for a modern matchmaking multiplayer experience shooter. And then Halo 3, Finish the Fight campaign, the best multiplayer overall experience we've seen in gaming probably ever, but I don't think it will stay that way. So at some point, I think Halo will itself surpass it, and I'm pretty sure Call of Duty will surpass it as well, but let's just stick to Halo for now. And then, or maybe Call of Duty surpassed it with the Modern Warfare series. More likely, that's a good answer. So I'll go with that. So if I were to rank it right now, I would say Halo with Sprint, then Call of Duty Modern Warfare, then Halo without Sprint. Or maybe, yeah, that probably like that. So like 1, 2, 3. And then Halo 3 also had a Warthog run in it that was fantastic. It was very reminiscent of the HCE campaign Warthog run, but it was more expansive. It featured more Flood, more Covenant, a lot more alien technology, and it had a similar outcome. It finishes the campaign. It's awesome. Master Chief gets commitment, closure, and compatibility. And probably the best game in the series. So overall, Halo, fantastic, phenomenal.